It's a special day. Apple has a party. Mm-hmm. Xbox has a party. Mm-hmm. Petri has a party. And Amazon got an invited party too. They didn't want to go to anymore.
Yeah, there's going to be a follow-up party at Amazon too.
Yeah, this is one of those parties you've got to pay to attend.
It's like Tina. I think we'll schedule 2 in advance.
Yes. Anyways, I am now feverishly. So, why not start off with a complaint? Because why not? So my two things here. One, I ordered 2 Xboxes, Series X's. My one that I ordered from the Microsoft Store has shipped, but it took a very ass backwards way to get to my local sorting facility, and it is not on the truck yet, which means I'm not getting this thing until 8 p.m. tonight.
Oh, but at least you're getting it today.
Hopefully. It's not on the truck yet. But I tried calling them, like, hey, can I just come pick this thing up? They're like, no, you can pick it up tomorrow. I'm like,
I haven't done something like that in a long time, but in the past I have gone to, I don't remember if it was UPS or FedEx. It was quite a ways away. It's back in Massachusetts, but I did that at least twice.
Yeah, I've done it before too. I don't know why they wouldn't. Whatever. The more annoying one is that, so I ordered one on Microsoft Store, and then I also ordered one on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And then I got an email from Amazon yesterday saying, like, hey, it's actually not coming tomorrow. Or we don't really know when it's coming. It might be there by the end of the year, if you're lucky.
I checked Amazon.com this morning, and if you search for Xbox Series X, it doesn't even come up in the results.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't exist.
So my neighbor who's going to buy my extra one is...
It might be there for New Year's.
Yeah, maybe, if they're lucky. And then we've also got the little Apple shindig today at, I think it's 1 p.m.
Let me throw out a little bit of framing for today's event, because I've seen a lot of nonsense leading up to this. Benchmarks don't mean dick. I just want to be I just want to be.
That's a good T-shirt, by the way.
They don't mean a thing. They mean nothing. So every processor generation where everyone talks about how much faster the A14 or whatever it's called now is than whatever the Qualcomm thing is, nonsense. It's all nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. What matters is how fast things actually run in real life. So here's another thing that doesn't matter, because it's a benchmark. According to some benchmarks, some Apple Silicon Mac outperforms an Intel i9. No, it doesn't. See, here's the problem. That thing is running natively. Like for an Apple Silicon-based Mac to perform as well as an Intel i9 running x86 apps, it would have to be several orders of magnitude faster itself, because that software is running an emulation. So let's just pretend that, somehow Apple pulled off this miracle. It's just as fast or faster or whatever. You still got to run all that existing software. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be as fast. It just isn't. So we'll see. The keys to this are how quickly developers port their apps over. Apple has supposedly made it pretty simple. They've made it look like a recompile. Of course, that's what we've done on the Windows side as well. Haven't seen a lot of native apps on ARM, but Apple is pushing their whole ecosystem. That should go a little bit better. We need to see how well iPad apps not run, because they'll run well, but integrate into the system, and what difference that might make to the experience, right? The ability to run these iPad apps. There was a report on 9to5Mac that I almost wrote up, where they basically looked at all the app entries on the Mac App Store and determined that some of the major app vendors like Facebook and whoever makes Candy Crush and Google are not porting their apps, their iPad apps, to the Mac. That's nonsense. The fact that they're not there now doesn't mean anything about their plans. So we'll have to see what Apple announces with regards to that, and what third parties announce. So there's just I feel like every time something big happens like this, there's this groundswell of stupid that occurs out in the world. And the stupid will continue, because Apple's going to best ever, fastest ever, blah, blah, blah. They're going to talk a lot about a lot of stuff. You have to really kind of read between the lines. You have to see what they're doing. Brad, you and I were probably present, or at least, but we certainly remember back in 2010, something like that. Mm-hmm. Steve Sinofsky stood up on a stage and demonstrated word printing from an ARM-based system. And that was a decade ago, and ARM has still not taken over the world. So not on the PC. So
the other phrase I think we're going to hear a lot today, or potentially, you got to keep in mind, is they're going to compare this stuff to what they call the most popular Windows laptop, which they do that by sales volume typically. And I don't know about you, Paul, but typically the most popular sales volume laptop isn't exactly something high end.
It's reminiscent of the early 1990s when the best-selling car in the world was a Ford Escort. And I guess if that's your bar, you could probably make something that's faster than that. But yes. So, anyway, there's a lot of factors that go into this. The technical achievement of what they're attempting is big. It's and we'll see. We'll see how well it goes. But based on my experience back in the day with the tablet PC platform, I viewed the iPad as less of a threat. That's a great example of getting some things right and maybe the world going in a different direction than I thought. Now, it's also fair to say that the iPad did not take over for the PC, so whatever. It's hard not to do the same thing with this. We have a lot of experience with Windows 10 on ARM. We understand how that's worked. We understand the complications, the performance problems, the inability to run 64-bit apps, the fact that drivers don't transfer over between the two platforms. Apple needs to address all of those things for this platform to make any sense. And in developer buy-in, and there's, like I said, lots and lots of stuff. So we will see.
I don't really think the app thing is that big of a deal personally. Like the Facebook, because there were some big headlines.
Oh yeah, but here's the big deal: Adobe Photoshop.
Photoshop, I fully agree. But like a Facebook, if you're on a laptop, you just go to the website anyways. You don't. Who's going to open a Facebook app on their?
You're right. You're right. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, when the web apps are good enough, right, and the native apps, if you have them, obviously you don't start thinking about mobile apps. Mobile apps come to desktop because there's a hole, One app I think you and I both would like to see on desktop, for example, on the Windows side is the Outlook mobile app.
Yep.
Love to see that app. So sometimes they can fill a role, But yeah, you're right. Obviously, if you're going to use YouTube, you're going to use the web. If you're going to, you could access Outlook.com from the web, whatever. But we'll see. There are important apps that need to happen. We already talked about how Adobe kind of screwed back Apple over with OS 10 back in the day, a decade ago. They are probably not going to do that now. But how's Adobe Photoshop running on ARM today on Windows? It's not.
Right.
It's not.
We will see. I bet we see Adobe on stage.
I do too. I think that's going to be a big moment for them. Yep.
Other big moments.
Who won't see on stage?
What?
Intel.
No.
Paul Ottolini's going to come out in a bunny suit and hand him a wafer, probably throw it at him like it's a Chinese star,
Or they just have him they should put like a cardboard cutout him in a dunk tank, and they just come out and start throwing little apples at the little target.
It's like we're trying to dunk it, but these chips are so small they don't do anything. Oh, sorry, you Intel. No, too much.
Wow. The other big things happening today is obviously, as I've already complained about, Xboxes are now being delivered around the globe, and so people are downloading their gigabytes of updates and games and stuff.
Unscientific, but I went to Microsoft's site. I went to each of the retailers they're providing to see if I could buy one of these things, just to see what that looked like. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
There is a process for getting what I did see everywhere was, well, not everywhere, but supposedly, or at least the appearance of it being everywhere, was the ability to go through Xbox All Access, which I think a lot of people would agree is probably a pretty good way to go. But I thought it was weird. It was like you never saw this thing like on Walmart.com where I want to buy the Xbox Series X or S, choose between buying it outright in the All Access and then go down the river that way. And it's like they don't really – it's almost like the standalone console doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Maybe it doesn't exist, and I'm just going to get a box of nothing today.
You'll get the box. The bag I got, it will be torn open, and there'll be like some stickers inside. Be a little note from me.
There's two other big things. You should go to Petri.com, where it's actually going to be a month throughout too. We're having a nice little virtual shindig all day today. You should be hanging out, doing that stuff. You'll find a link down below, but also Amazon. Officially charged, I guess is the correct word, by the EU for monopolistic practices.
Yeah, they have a slightly different legal process than we do, but the next step is basically Amazon gets to respond, and then the EU says, here's your fine, and here are the changes you have to make. So They also announced a second related investigation. Obviously, well, no, maybe not obviously. Amazon is in trouble with antitrust regulators in Europe for the same reason that Google is with search, which is they get to see, because they're the gatekeeper, they get to see what people are searching for. They get to see the products and services that are popular, and then they can redirect those searches to their own products and services away from third-party resellers. And so the second investigation is kind of an extension of that, which relates to the there's a term for this, but it's when a purchase is fulfilled by Amazon, and it's like basically like a system by which preferential third-party sellers get to go through Amazon, and it's kind of like a, an unfair process. Yeah. Obviously, they're trying to exclude those who they don't like to do business with. So, and the gatekeeper role is going to be a huge problem for almost all of the big tech companies, really. I mean, if you think about it, Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple are all play a gatekeeper role to major platforms. Yeah,
that they do, and that is going to be it's going to be interesting to watch. So, I don't know. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do, so I feel like that's all she wrote.